Our next speaker is Dr. Santosh Gopikrishna, who is a consultant vitreoretina from Narayan Netralia, Bangalore, and he is going to be discussing a case of PEDs. On to you, doctor.
Good evening, ma'am. I thank ARC for this opportunity, Dr. Srinivas and Dr. Chitra. I'll be talking about two contrasting processes of PED and their complications. So this is a case one wherein it's a 46-year-old type A personality gentleman, 6 weeks apart vision, and he's one-eyed basically, the other is lost to RD. So you can see a serious PED that's just involving the fovea, but he complains of metamorphopsia, most probably because of this kind of hyperreflectivity at the dome of the PED and even some hyperreflectivity interacting with scattering and thinning of the edges of the PED. And some patchy vessels are all anyways seen. So this was just a serious PED. I got an OCTA done. I don't have a picture though. So there was no neovascularity at that point of time. So patient, since he was symptomatic, was started on epinephrine for 25 mg VD for 4 months. But there was no change in morphology or the symptoms. It remained the same, the height of the PED also. So the patient was lost for follow-up for 2 years. And when he came again, there was increasing metamorphopsia and the vision dropped to 6/9. He had received 2 anti-VEGF injections and he was referred to me. And this was how it was. You can see the thinning at the edges of the PED. You can see hypertransmission defect and even some amount of hyperreflectivity in the choroid. And even IRF as well as subretinal fluid. After at this stage was not very clear, but there was a faint neovascular complex. I didn't get an ICGA done at this time. So this was the time when I thought, okay, let me start injecting, and I chose aflibercept. And this was how the course was. September 2020, October. The first thing to come down was subretinal fluid, and you can see the hypertransmission decreasing a little bit, but IRF remained the same. In fact, IRF increased even after the second injection. So I was doubtful whether this would yield somewhere or even it will continue. And the problem is the PED was big enough and the thinning was there at the edges. So I was worried about the risk of drip because there was some amount of tachycardia neovasculopathy. So, but luckily after the third injection, it came. You can see the PED started coming down, IRF and SRF, everything came down, but the hypertransmission is still there. You can see this blowout defects of the RP, which were more evident once the PED started coming down. So this was a course over a period of time, March 21, April 21, May, and also I injected 3 more aflibercept. And once after May, there was quite some resolution, but there was an RP defect and hypertransmission. So it remained the same. I didn't give an injection further. After August 21, 2 months later, there was an injection-free period of 5 months, and PED again started coming up, and you can see the hypertension. Though you can see an OCTA, there was a mature vessel even at the outer retina as well as CC layer. So this was an early recurrence. The important thing in this case and the worrying thing in this case is the presence of metamorphopsia, type A personality, and one-eyed patient. Now, quickly going to the second case, it's a 62-year-old gentleman, known diabetic and hypertensive, had a sudden blurring of vision in the right eye to 6/18, and he was status post PTCA on double anticoagulant. So this was how it was. The RP rib is a huge vertical linear rib, and these were the sections under the rib area, and you can see large hemorrhagic PEDs for their choroidal detachment. Presentation, this was how it was. So we went conservative because it was quite a lot of vitreous hemorrhage, and the vitreous hemorrhage increased over a period of time with hand movements vision. 2 weeks later, the patient presented with no PL vision, total RD with hemorrhagic CDs. And 1 month after aflibercept, this was so, and there was severe pain, total hyphema, and the pressures were high with corneal blood staining. And a choroidal drainage technique, drainage with AC wash was done for symptomatic management. The problem in this case, I felt, was aggressive course of RIP, and there was no chance of any vision-saving intervention. So the points to ponder in these 2 cases, the case 1, when we get these serious PDs, especially in one-eyed situations, what best can be done, and the role of eplerenone in such cases. And I wonder whether aflibercept should have been continued even after the 5th injection, and pachy neovasculopathy, what are the alternate forms of treatment since we don't have PDT now. And case 2, whether I should have been more aggressive in treating these cases, and how else the case could have been managed. Thank you all for the patient listening.
Thank you very much. Could we have Dr. Raj Narayan discussing this case too?
Yeah, again, wonderful case, very contrasting cases from the first case. Some similarities in this first case which Santosh presented. The intraretinal edema, which you saw in the first case, that is something which is always concerning in any patient, and those are patients which we have to treat aggressively. And also on the OCTA, initially, although there was a doubt whether there is a CNVM or not, there was a hint of a mature vessel, but in the subsequent scans, when the PED settled down, we could see the CNVM very nicely. So overall, I would say that it was well managed, and sometimes these PEDs are not easy to treat, but we have both Eylea is effective as well as brolucizumab. Both are effective against PEDs.
Dr. Srinivas?
Okay, so, yes, yeah. Sir, in these cases, say, for example, he has used eplerenone also in these cases. So, whenever we, in a non-CNVM CSRs also, we use anti-VEGFs. I think Malika madam was, she's a very fan of using this, if I'm not wrong. So how do you try to compare whether it's the effect of the eplerenone which is going to act, or whether it's the effect of anti-VEGF it's going to act? Because most of the time I see pumping both the things together.
If there is a definite CNVM, you have to give anti-VEGF. And
Correct.
if you are even otherwise clinically suspecting, or there is a suspicion, overall, I would definitely go in favor of anti-VEGF if there is a hint of CNVM. In the first instance, it was not very clear, but there was a doubt, and there is intraretinal edema. There is no way you can risk it. But eplerenone, I will, in the sense, if there is no obvious CNVM, yes, you can give eplerenone in these cases. But again, I favor ICG in such cases, which Srinivas, you asked me in the first case. But this case, definitely, I would go for ICG.
Malika madam, you want to add anything? You are muted.
Malik?
This kind of situation, and I agree that they respond extremely well to aflibercept. Eplerenone I have not tried in these patients, because that's really for diffuse RPE atrophy or the chronic CSRs. Eplerenone is known to work. So no, but aflibercept works well.
I mean, the second case, would you, I should have been more aggressive in treating these cases, draining the choroid and something like that, because it was more conservative, and wherein it ended up with no vision. So.
And the second case, actually, once it is a massive bleed and we know the patient is unlikely to get any vision, and the patient may have other systemic comorbidities, it's a question of just counseling the patient. Invariably, these cases, the subretinal hemorrhage will migrate to the vitreous cavity, and then it will form hyphema, and then these patients can have glaucoma. So it's basically a question of counseling those patients, that even otherwise you are not going to operate for visual recovery. But in case there is such a massive bleed and hyphema and neovascular glaucoma, or not neovascular, but because of hyphema there is glaucoma, you just have to counsel the patient that surgery may be undertaken later on to relieve the pain.
Thank you.
Hemant sir, should he have been a little more aggressive in treating these cases so as to prevent the formation of the vitreous hemorrhage and the so on complications which ultimately led the patient to PL negative?
Now, you see, I think the patient was on anticoagulants, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, I think that was the primary reason why he was conservative, because I think you would have had the same outcome irrespective of what you're going to think about.
Thank you
So
very much.
treated well, Santosh. Good luck.
Yeah. These are cases where massive hemorrhages happen and you are helpless. One of the few cases where you feel really helpless, actually.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rajanayan.